basically talking about the terrain theory versus the germ theory. And so I think it's important we discuss this, and I'm more of a terrain person, you'll find out. But as we go through this discussion, we can figure out, just based on your information or your understanding of how this whole immune thing works out, or the germ theory works out, or this COVID virus thing works out, you can figure out for yourself, or maybe you can do some research. But anyhow.
I'm a terrain person too.
All terrain?
Yeah, as long as the trip's not too long.
Really?
I've been on a train for a couple hours.
A train?
Yeah.
Oh, you're kind of joking with me, aren't you? Yeah, okay. I got you. I didn't catch that.
Otherwise, I like a plane.
I see.
I'm a plane person.
Plane?
Yeah.
Normal, ordinary? Vanilla?
Yes, both.
Vanilla wrapper type, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I wanted to start off with just kind of a joke. And I've got it written down, so I'm prepared for it. So, if a fart can get through underwear and a pair of jeans, how can a mask made of cloth save you from the coronavirus?
That's a good question.
Here we go.
Not only is that a joke, that's very thought-provoking.
Right. But who knows what kind of mask you could wear, really? What kind of fabric?
I've seen some weird masks out there.
Yeah, it's interesting.
There's people in garbage bags and beehive or beekeeper hoods.
There's a lot of amateurs out there. I'm not saying I'm a pro, okay, because I don't wear those things. But for me, I've always thought they were useful for a dentist or oral surgeons for sure, because those guys are right in somebody's mouth. Or in the operating room. And then, of course, after you're done with the procedure, you don't use it again, do you?
No.
Get rid of the mask, get a new mask for the next patient. And so wearing a mask all day doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But
me either.
And once you touch your face or your mask, you're done.
Right. It's over,
you can touch something else or breathe or whatever, you know. So anyhow. All right, so I've got an article here, and I'm just going to go through it. So I'm going to just read a little bit here. We're going to talk about some of the history of the germ theory versus the terrain theory. And you should be able to follow this really easily. So, so we talk about the coronavirus, and in light of the coronavirus, really 150 years ago, there was a lot of controversy over the germ theory versus the terrain theory that much of the Western world has forgotten. So we've probably all heard of Louis Pasteur. He was a French scientist, and he is the father of the germ theory. The germ theory is, the idea is we become sick when our bodies are invaded by a foreign organism such as a bacteria, a mold, a fungi, or a virus. Okay? And there's definitely truth to it. There's validity to it. There's no doubt. So there was another idea that was circulating actually before Pasteur discussed the germ theory. But anyhow, we'll go over that here shortly. I'm trying to read as we go. But he provided a lot of the laboratory work that provided the data that the germ theory is something that's significant. Okay? All right? There's another guy who worked in the same field in the same time era that held different beliefs, and this guy talked about the terrain theory. Okay? And what terrain theory people believe, and I hope there's some people out there, we're not trying to start an argument, we're just trying to talk common sense here, okay? They believe that the most important part that determines whether or not a person becomes ill is not the presence of a germ, but rather the preparedness of the body's internal environment, hence terrain. We call it the soil, to repel or destroy a germ, okay? So, I'm not an expert on germ theory. I've taken some classes on it. I am an expert on terrain theory. When I adjust people, when we talk about nutrition, when we talk about exercise, when we talk about meditation, a lot of different things like that, that's terrain.
That
That's
sounds
getting
like
the body healthy. It's holistic.
it seems like terrain to me would be preventative.
Right. And so let's look at the philosophies or the understanding of someone, just my philosophy of a trained person, okay? First of all, the immune system is amazing. Our bodies are amazing. The God that made our bodies is amazing, and our bodies are intelligently designed to live and to function and to fight off bacteria. We're made in God's image. Our body is a temple. We just have to make the right choices. Okay? That's lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
Right. So that's all about the terrain. Why would you want to be healthy?
Well, it beats the alternative.
Right? So we're even talking about, weight. We're talking about obesity, diabetes, all that stuff, high blood pressure, all that stuff. We can actually help our terrain function better by doing things that are healthy for us. Likewise, we can make our terrain a lot more vulnerable by eating junk food and just sitting around on a couch and, watching TV and having stinking thinking.
What's wrong with that?
It stinks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I don't want to be around you.
We had a Bible study this, but since we've all been quarantined, our Bible studies moved online, Zoom
Okay.
meeting.
Yeah.
And we're in the book of James, and this morning it was talking about rid yourself of all filth. Right. So when you just mentioned television, I've kind of, during this time, even while I'm working, I'm sitting on my couch, while we're working from home. But some of the things that we let into our mind, we're muddying our terrain, our mental terrain.
Right.
And I had to check myself this morning. My wife is in the Bible study with us, and she was looking at me like, practice what you preach.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's good advice. So the guy that came up with the terrain theory was Antoine Beauchamp, and he and Pasteur were very bitter rivals. In fact, this guy wrote a book. It's called Pasteur, the Plagiarist, and it talks about how Beauchamp claims that Pasteur plagiarized a lot of his information and things like that. But one of Beauchamp's quotes is, I'm paraphrasing this, is it's not necessarily the type of disease or bacteria or virus somebody has, but it's more the sort of person that has the disease. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, we're talking terrain versus germ, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does it mean, sort of person? Well, if you'll notice with these numbers that are coming in, the people that are dying are people that have what we call comorbidities, okay? One of the biggest problems that we have today, that we face today, is diabetes. It's starting in kids, it's obesity, it's eating food that's void of nutrients. And so those are people that are going to have weak terrain. It's going to be easy for a virus to come in there and take over the cells and reproduce.
Yeah, I think we've seen that in action these last couple of weeks.
And so the people who are most likely going to die are the ones that, the older people, that have got a lot of combined systems disease. Remember, we talked about that, waiting for an acute crisis to take place. Then you go to the emergency room and you think you got high blood pressure and heart disease, only to find out you got diabetes, you got chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, you've got blood pressure issues, and a whole bunch of other things. Those are the people that are easy targets. It's the law of the jungle, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm going to be there. We're all going to die from something.
We all have an expiration date.
Yes,
There's no doubt about it.
I just wish I knew when it was.
I'm kind of glad I don't.
Yeah, so I could spend my money. So anyhow, that's a sore point between Pasteur, the germ guy, and Beauchamp, the terrain guy. Now, Pasteur actually had a good friend who was more of a terrain guy. And they put their differences aside and were actually close friends. This guy's name is Claude Bernard. And they shared information back and forth, and at the end of his life, Pasteur is said to have recognized the importance of what Bernard had been trying to tell him. And one of the things that Pasteur said was, the germ is nothing, it's the soil that is everything. So this is alleged that he said this on his deathbed. I don't know. How can we prove this?
You just have to take somebody's word for it.
Yeah, but anyhow, the information is here, okay? So, anyhow.
I find that very interesting.
Yeah. So, anyhow, so I'm going to make some statements here, and you tell me if it's germ or terrain. Stay home, wash your hands often, don't touch your face, maintain physical distancing, wear a mask whenever you go out.
That's all germ.
Is it all germ?
That is all germ.
Is it all bad?
No, it's not all bad.
No, it makes sense,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So this is a good part of, you can pick a lot of this stuff, but let me just reference a book here. This is a book put out by Suzanne Humphreys. Now just remember, I'm a terrain person, so I'm going to be reading from books that support terrain holistic care, okay? But in her book, I hope I can find it, but it talks about the history of our living conditions, and there's pictures in here. I love pictures. But it talks about cleanliness, and one of the best things that you can do is wash your hands, right?
Right.
That's cleanliness, right?
That is cleanliness.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read here. So the 1800s was a century that people put in 12 to 16 hours a day. Is that going to affect your terrain?
Mm-hmm.
Put in 12 to 16, that's going to
Yep.
create stress, right?
Yeah.
But you got to work, you got to make money.
You do have to work.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. At the most tedious menial labor, imagine bands of children roaming the streets out of control because their parents were laboring for long days. Kids don't have any supervision. Is that a good thing?
No.
Stuff can happen to you,
Yeah,
right?
that's not
Okay.
a good thing.
Yeah. Children were also involved in dangerous and demoralizing work. The city of New York, picture it, surrounded not by suburbs, but by rings of smoldering garbage dumps and shanty towns. Now this we're not exaggerating anything here. This is history. This is back in the 1800s, okay? Cities where hogs, horses, and dogs and their refuse were commonplace in the streets. Many infectious diseases were rampant throughout the world, particularly in larger cities. This is not a description of the third world, but a large part of the United States and other civilized Western countries a century or so ago. Okay? So, housing could not accommodate populations that were exploding. Where would you get a job? You go to the big factories, right? Now, are factories a healthy place to be back then? No.
Some of them aren't today.
Yeah. So you'd have a population explosion, you'd have a factory, and you'd have a bunch of shanty towns, okay? Which resulted in overcrowding, a remarkable buildup of human and animal waste. Large buildings originally built for breweries or sugar refineries were later divided into numerous small dark rooms for families to live in. These conditions contributed to high disease and high death rates. You know, it just goes on and just does a great job of describing it. And so this is what I thought about. I love Western movies. What guy doesn't love Western movies, okay?
Right, yeah.
But the guys are dressed up in clean clothes all the time. You don't ever see manure anywhere. I mean, come on. You got the bars. Everybody, it would be a disgusting, you know how they dress
Sure.
the Westerns
yeah.
up? I mean,
You can almost smell it.
yeah, exactly. And so we talked about sanitizing our hands and how that's so important because we don't touch our face with it. We don't get that virus. You know, we don't sneeze or breathe on people. We don't touch something where the virus can live and transmit it into our body. Now, by the way, the virus can be transmitted through air, through nose, through breathing, through fluids, through physical contact, and so very easily, you know, contagious. In a little room, I don't know where you go to the bathroom at. There's no plumbing. Did you go outside? Sometimes if you had to go real bad, what do?
You run outside.
Well, what if you don't make it?
Then you're in trouble.
Exactly.
Somebody get a mop.
Well, the problem is, I don't want your feces around me. I
Really?
don't want you urinating around me.
Come on, Doc.
You know what I'm saying? So the clothes are never clean. You sweat in the clothes.
Yep.
You don't wash your clothes. Your food.
I wonder how the refrigeration was there.
Non-existent.
You don't think they had a commercial freezer in the...
I doubt it.
I doubt
I mean,
it.
seriously, if you really want to learn about this stuff, do some research. And I'm not an expert on this. I'm just saying, do some research. Don't believe everything that you hear.
That's good advice.
But it really just makes sense to me if you look at the history of how sanitizing, your drinking water, when you poop and pee, it goes away from you. It gets treated. Having places to wash your clothes, and then your livestock, or your pets or your animals.
Oh, animals ran the neighborhoods back then.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't go anywhere without seeing a pack of dogs on the street.
And so this is the other thing, okay? This is what we talk about germ theory versus terrain. Okay, so there's a big pile of just whatever we just talked about. I don't know what you even want to call it.
I call it gross.
A big pile of garbage. What do?
You stare around it.
No, I'm thinking put chemicals on it and kill all the bugs and the viruses, right?
Yeah.
But in the process, some of those might kill you, right?
Absolutely.
Because anything that kills a living thing is not going to necessarily be good for you, right?
Right, because we are living things.
So you could spray it with Raid, maybe?
You could.
All right. So I use that example to expose some of the weaknesses of the germ theory. If that is all you did, is every time you had a symptom or every time you had to sanitize something, your immune system wouldn't learn how to work and how to function, and that's the most powerful thing that you have to stay healthy. So the other idea is to remove the garbage pile away from where you live, where you drink, where you go to the bathroom. And that's going to be pretty effective, isn't it?
It would be.
It would be desirable too.
Sure. If you can get a truck to come by and pick up all the garbage and take it away from you,
yeah,
that'd be awesome.
You know what I saw the other day?
What?
I saw one of them big old pump trucks, and it said, I think it was on Facebook, it said, yesterday's Meals on Wheels.
Good night.
Is that not disgusting?
That is gross.
I'm sorry, I'm being vivid here, but I don't know what else to do. So we're going to go on with some more statements here.
Please go on.
Yes. So what's so frustrating is I haven't seen a whole lot of information out there on how to make your immune system stronger. Is that a germ or a terrain statement?
I think the statement would be a germ statement because they want to.
No, so things that make my immune system, if we focus on that, what is that? Is that somebody thinking about germ or terrain?
It could go either way in my mind. Because if your terrain if you're in good shape, then your immune system's going to be in good shape.
Right.
But there are those that feel that vaccines are the answer because get you used to a little germ.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. So, have you heard the expression, again, this is an expression, I'm trying to help you understand this. Give a man a fish for a day and he eats for a day. Mike, come finish it.
Teach a man to fish and he'll eat for life.
Amen.
Exactly. Okay, I didn't even tell Mike about this. Mike's a fisherman, by the way. So, the same thing with your immune system. You can take antibiotics, you can inject it, but if you read just a little bit on your immune system is so incredible. It's amazing. It's light years ahead of any bit of or piece of information that we know about it right now. I guarantee you, it's just crazy. If you just read it, it's baffling. So you can take a drug or a shot and get what we call passive immunity from a drug or a shot, or you can go on-the-job training and get exposed to these things and not live in fear.
Hey, that's it.
And take care of your immune system, exercise, work on your health, work on your life, your temple. And your immune system can learn and function and be able to take care of you, okay? So, again, we're talking about two different theories here, all right? Okay. So for me to say that drugs are the only way that humans can defend themselves against a virus or get immune. Is that a germ theory or is that a...
That's germ theory.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Okay. So here's another thing that was really frustrating. Not a lot said about supplements. Not necessarily supplements or even food or nutrition or vitamins or minerals. So you can actually take blood tests and determine if your body is deficient in a certain mineral or vitamin. I've got a blood test right here. It's my own blood test, I promise you. Mine were all normal. They were good.
You got good terrain.
I've got good terrain. It's strong. I've got a 4-wheel
That is
ATV
awesome.
immune system is what I've got. Yeah. And I trust it every day.
You got an ATB, all-terrain body.
That's, okay, yeah, exactly. So, I know that vitamin C helps your immune system. I know that vitamin D helps your immune system. And I know that zinc helps your immune system. But everything nutritious in whole foods that God put on this earth are good for your immune system. And so if you're deficient in something like zinc, by the way, the people that were deficient in zinc lost their sense of taste and smell.
Oh, that's COVID.
That's, all right, so this is Mr. Germ over here.
That's right.
It's COVID, it's not a zinc deficiency.
No, that's COVID.
Yeah.
They need to get the hospital stat.
Yes. Well, so sometimes it's too late. So when they go to the hospital, this is what happens. They're not fixing people, but they're keeping airways open.
Yeah.
They're giving them fluids, okay, because they've been attacked and they've been vulnerable to an attack because their soil, their terrain is not very good.
That's right.
It's a target. So, anyhow, I hope this is going somewhere good. I hope you guys are learning something from this.
You know, you talked about, you hadn't heard anything about diet, vitamins, minerals. I haven't either. And we've talked on the podcast before. Lori and I don't watch the news, but during this time at home, we've been watching the news for updates on when we're going back to work, things like that. Not one word about nutrition. It's all vaccine, stay inside.
Right. So, anyhow. So this is the deal. If your body's deficient in something, if it's deficient in water, is it as healthy as it can be?
No.
All right. How do
That's
you know
correct.
that?
I just know
It just makes sense, doesn't it?
It makes sense, but there's
Now-
plenty of studies.
Now, you're not a neurologist or a neurosurgeon, are you?
No.
What are you, anyhow? I'm just telling you. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand some of this stuff.
No, I'm a designer, yeah.
So, if you get those hot dogs that have been sitting there on the 7-Eleven thing for 3 weeks,
Well, they've been rolling.
well, yeah, and you eat those every day, is there a chance you're going to be deficient in something besides brain cells?
Yes.
Yes. So, really, vegetables are good for you, especially the ones that come from the ground, okay? So if you're deficient, yes, you won't be healthy. How do you find out if you're deficient? Well, a couple things that we ask our patients is, number one, we look at their energy level, we look at if they're sleeping, bowel function, bladder function. Did I say energy?
You did. That's what you started it off with.
Okay.
Yep.
Pain, strength, all those things. And so if you're not functional, or if you got symptoms all the time, fibromyalgia, things like that, if you're lethargic, chances are your terrain is pretty weak. You need some manure, potting soil.
Yes, fresh
Yes.
topsoil.
Worm casings.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. That's gardening. But you need to get some good foods. Foods feed bacteria. Did you know there's lots of books out there that talk about our microbiome? You know what that is? That's the bacteria, fungus, and viruses that live inside of us. So we are anywhere from 50% to 10% human cells. Does that not freak you out?
You just said I'm half a man.
Yeah. Well, there's a show on TV called 2.5
That's
Men, but I don't think it has anything to do with what we just talked about.
So what's the other half?
It's bacteria, it's viruses, it's fungi.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's creepy.
It's crazy, but see, the idea that we're at least 50% bacteria, we actually have a farm. We have that soil inside of our body. That soil is like an army. It communicates with our brain, with our vagus nerve, with our immune system. And so my question is what are you feeding that? What are you feeding your farm? If you're, like we got 30 fast food restaurants here in White House. It just galls me. And kids are eating that.
Adults are eating that too.
Yeah. I see kids that are constipated. I see kids that don't have energy. I see kids that aren't going out on recess. I see kids, and it's nothing against the kids. It's just the kids. We're getting a society that is not strong, that is not healthy.
That's an excellent point. You know, when the three of us were growing up,
Yeah.
I'm sure y'all were like I was. I ate at home.
Yeah.
We didn't go. Maybe once every 6 months we could have a treat and go to a restaurant like McDonald's. Or
that was the times back then.
Yeah,
too. That was
but
the way
we
the
were all
times
healthy.
were. Times have changed.
And we were outside in the evenings playing tag and moving and
climbing up trees.
all the time. We were constantly riding bikes. I remember.
Yeah. Oh gosh, ride bike, barefoot riding bikes.
No, I didn't do that.
And we just did stupid stuff. Yeah.
But we didn't have helmets. There was no such thing as a bicycle helmet when I was a kid that I knew
No,
of.
that explains a few things. Yeah. So we got on a rabbit trail there.
I'm sorry.
So we're talking. So this is what's happening. We have a machine. We have a system. We have a grid that is producing sick and diseased children that are vulnerable, and easy pickings for the germ theory.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
They don't eat vegetables. They drink energy drinks.
Or
and they're going to be easy pickings. Well, you got this germ. Let's not talk about nutrition. We're making money off of this stuff. We're making money off these energy drinks. We're making money off of this fast food. The Cokes, the Pepsis, they're making a ton of money off of that. That stuff is cheap. It's subsidized by our tax dollars. High fructose corn syrup. What is that in? It's in all the Cokes. Where does it come from? Corn. The farmers are great, but who subsidizes high fructose corn syrup that goes into our kids?
Government.
Our tax dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you get somebody that's sick, what do? They say, hey, you need to sit down and eat vegetables. You need half your plate to be veggies, a quarter to be protein, and a quarter to be fat. Do they do that?
No, they say
there's no money.
Shot.
You can't make money on that.
No.
I've tried it. Does it sound exciting?
You've tried. I know you
Where
tried
are the chips? Where's the Coke?
Can I at least have a Diet Coke?
So this is the deal. This is part of the theory of everything. So the theory of everything, our society is producing sick people. Sick people that don't want to exercise, that don't want to eat right, that don't want to drink water, that are sick all the time.
Yeah.
And are prone to the big pharma germ theory that is where they make the big money. The new drugs, the new vaccines. They don't say a thing. You know, the FDA approves Twinkies. But the FDA does not approve vitamins.
I'm sorry. So that means I'm okay if I eat a box of Twinkies. It's FDA approved.
You are not okay. Well, there's so many things that are FDA approved.
Does that include the fudge covered Twinkies?
It's called recreational eating. It's like money, money, money. It's what it's about.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I know it's unhealthy.
It's not fun after you eat a box of them, is it?
No.
No? So
even just one makes me feel crummy.
I'm having a fun time here. I'm joking, but I'm seriously not joking. Because I've got a granddaughter coming on the way here May 5th.
Yes.
And not to mention, children are great. They're our future. But if their immune systems aren't working, and if every time a virus comes around, a new germ, a new virus, that our immune systems have not seen because we're hiding, we're eating junk food, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And this is going to happen again And you know, for me, being healthy, I mean, I say I'm healthy. I work on my health and my train. I also do some of the germ things. I wash. You know, if you're sick, stay inside. If you're not sick, go out and do your business. But um, anyhow, so I think that's about it right there. But
You know, it's important to note that this is the first time in the history where it's a backwards quarantine. If you're healthy, you can't leave.
yeah, and healthy people are who generate income. They're people that are out there exercising. They have sound minds. You know, and this is the other thing. I may be one of those statistics one day. I mean, I'm 58 years old, but I may be, you know, sick. My immune system doesn't work.
Yeah, may
I
happen.
get it, and I might die of that. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but that's just how things work. I mean, you know, so anyhow, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do you have anything to say?
No, but we got to wrap this up because I'm too close. I got to get 4 more feet away.
Oh,
It's the law.
it's the law. You law dog, you.
Just
So,
kidding.
hey, so this is Dr. Chris Banning at White House Chiropractic. This is Aaron Lindsay. Thanks for watching, and we're going to have another one of these when?
Next week, I hope,
Next week? Okay.
if we can get out of the house.
Yeah. And so what I'm going to be doing is just taking articles that regard health and just starting to discuss them, and hopefully put some common sense to them, and you know, help you learn a little bit. So thanks, and we'll see you later.